What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to discuss, like I teased last night, how this new Batman game can set up the DC universe, and just talking a little bit more about that specific aspect. There was a lot in those rumors last night. Obviously, I think each part of those were very, very important. Again, fall 2020. Obviously, that's absolutely massive. That means it means at the worst we get an E3 announcement. The fact that it's a soft reboot, that is very big, right? There's a lot of consequences to that. But also the fact that because it's a soft reboot, still Arkham, the fact that it will kick off a DC expanded universe for gaming. Now, again, we talked a little bit about that, but let's jump into it. This is awesome. Okay, at the end of the day, it's something that I think we've all danced around. Even when, to be quite honest with you, I was thinking back last night and even into this morning. I was thinking, have I ever predicted it? Could I add that to my credit of saying, well, I thought. I don't honestly feel like I've ever said that it would do something like that, but I think we've kind of inadvertently said it before, really, in all of these videos. The fact that this game would come first, Rocksteady's would come next, and then we get the rumor of that Superman game that's not from either of them, but the fact that it's under Warner Bros. Umbrella, so it would be Warner. So just from that, if you just take that, you could argue if they're all comic booky, if they're all DC, then they're making a universe. And again, we kind of knew that, right? We figured that would be the order. But the question I have, so I guess one of the biggest things I do want to talk about in this video, if this kicks it off, okay, so it would have to be not really an origin story, right? I don't think it would be if we kind of transplant it onto the current Arkham, timeline. Where does it fit? And I'm not saying we have to put it somewhere, because again, if it's a complete reboot or it's a soft reboot, none of that stuff technically counts, right? Another thing that actually should scare you, which we could talk about in another video if you guys want me to, let me know. How does the Joker fall into that? Because we assume Court of Owls, all that kind of stuff. If it's a soft reboot, how much is the Joker in this game? How much is he pushed afterwards? Because how big of a role could he be in future games? It also begs the question of, where does Batman, where do the Arkham games go from here? If you do a soft reboot for Arkham, do you continue that? And honestly, those are all parts of the extended universe. I mean, just flat out is, I like what seems to be the strategy. Now, the biggest question in terms of Rocksteady, I should say, is what is their game? If it's not Superman, the question I have is, does it become a standalone, just a one superhero game? Okay, we talked a lot of stuff on this channel. Degenerate Jay, who does a fantastic job, he's talked a lot on his channel. Flash, Green Lantern. I've talked about Superman, Flash. I talked about Wonder Woman, right? And we know Warner Bros. Montreal had a Wonder Woman, had a Suicide Squad game going. So, do one of those games eventually appear? But for Rocksteady, do you do a standalone game? At this point, it really does seem like it's not Superman. So that's fine. If Superman is another studio, even if it's a Series X exclusive, which I think would make a lot of people mad, if that's the plan, that's the plan. But Rocksteady, do they pull? Here's the funny thing. Do they pull what the DC universe, the movie universe, do they pull what that one did in terms of introducing the Justice League way too quickly? Now, for a game, I don't think it's a big deal. Because for the movies, you're starting off this universe, and we know who Aquaman is. We know all these characters, right? But we haven't seen their versions of them in a movie. And so you have Man of Steel, you have Superman, then you have Batman vs. Superman, which was a joke. But you're introducing two characters, and then you bring in Wonder Woman, who is great. And then all of a sudden, now you form the Justice League, right? And you had Wonder Woman, right before the Justice League. So they did it very, very quickly. But it's different. It's different if Rocksteady does a Justice League game next year to really, I guess, kick off, the Arkham game would be the start of it. But I mean, if Rocksteady did a Justice League game and it was organized in a way where it's the same Batman voice actor, it's the same, I guess, kind of style, same kind of just way that the Batman game works or feels, and you can tell it's just part of the timeline. It's maybe right after, maybe the war. What would be awesome is if they really work super close together, where they literally do make it like movies, where not after credit scenes, show what's going to come next. But if we get in this soft reboot Arkham 2020 game, if we get like a couple hints, like he knows that there's a Superman out there, and then all of a sudden in this Justice League game, we get to introduce them all together. I think it's very much different because like we've already played Arkham games. We've already played a lot of Batman games, right? They could call this a soft reboot all they want. It also depends on what soft reboot means because like is Infamous Second Son a soft reboot? It is, and it's with completely different characters, completely different location. But like what is technically, and especially in a game, what is a soft reboot when you keep the name but you really don't, like as Uncharted 4 I guess would not be, but like you know what I mean, like sometimes games do go. God of War has Kratos returning, and I guess you could argue, well, it's got Batman returning. A lot of things are different, so I get it. I think it would be a good kickoff point to then Rocksteady to come in and say, okay, well they did Batman, we're gonna do one where we bring a bunch of heroes together. And I really think there's only two options: is you do a Justice, and we've talked about that, right? You do a Justice League game, or you do another standalone superhero game that's not Superman, and then even you have that third mysterious studio that has a Superman game. So now you've got Batman, Superman, and then blank, either a Justice League game or a Superman game. And then you have Warner Bros. Montreal working on that second project, which, I mean, we've joked about it and said, like, could that also be a new Arkham game? Well, again, and we will have this discussion, especially when this game comes out. Well, where does it go? Like, if it's a soft reboot, do you have more of them? To be honest with you, soft reboots, when you do stuff like that, if they don't perform, then sometimes you just stop them there, right? You did the attempt at rebooting it, and then if it doesn't work, then you just stop it. So if it got, and again, it's an Arkham game, it's a Batman game. I think it's going to sell really well. I would assume there would be more, but the question would be, what's the second game? Is it truly, are they making one that's been delayed like for 30 years, and then are they really, in a joking fashion, making the second game at the same time in the studio that's just further off? I mean, honestly, it could very well happen. It would make a whole lot more sense to do something different, a different superhero, just in general, and then the team that's then the most of the work that's working on Batman, then that goes to the second game once Batman is done, and then like those couple stragglers, those other people, they're starting the next Batman Arkham game, right? That would be my general approach of how I would handle this. But I'm not Warner Bros. Montreal, right? None of us are Warner Bros. Montreal, so we can't make those decisions. But it's very exciting. Marvel's been doing it, kind of inadvertently, right? Because for PlayStation 4 exclusively has Spider-Man, and it really is probably only going to have Spider-Man, right? We have Marvel's Avengers, which is on all consoles, and that, Spider-Man definitely kicked off like, okay, let's start to have more of these games. So we had Telltale do Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And we're going to have future games. I mean, I guess PlayStation does get that Iron Man VR game that is exclusive, but it's a VR game. It's smaller. It's not really comparable to a Spider-Man or even Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy. So Marvel is already doing it. Marvel has already started. It's already gotten off to a really, I guess for Spider-Man, strong start. Really, everything else is left to, you have to question still, because Marvel's Avengers is not out yet. And if that game sucks, well, and I'm not like saying I'm rooting for Marvel to, like, their games to be better than DC. I guess, really, I mean, if you find my allegiance, I played Arkham first. I think I respect the Arkham trilogy more. And Marvel does still have a lot of work to do when it comes to their video game products. But to be honest, so does DC, right? It's Warner Bros. With their handling of these products. But it's really cool, no matter what side you fall on, right? And I'm not here to judge a side. It really is honestly pointless. But the fact that, we have these movies, and sure, both the franchises have gone through ups and downs. And I think especially it's fair to say DC. But it's cool that we get to move into the games and say, well, we've already gotten established DC games with these Batman Arkham games, and now they're using it. They're using what was so successful in Arkham they're restarting it. And they still know it can work. And it's going to kick off something that, to be honest with you, has so much potential. Because again, we've talked about what the superhero games like we want to see, right? Where I said that besides Arkham, and there's other ones. There's like Teen Titans too, right? Like that's a thing. There's so many things that they could go for. Again, they could do a standalone, just one superhero, or they could do a group. But they could really make these games interconnected, and they really can expand past just, because again, that's kind of what Rocksteady's Arkham Knight especially was hinting at, right? Like, we get to hear Lex Luthor, so we know Superman is out there, and there's way more hints than that, right? So they teased it, right? There is a universe out there. Like, there are others out there. And they never kept going with it, obviously, because they haven't made another game yet. But now to use Warner Bros. Montreal to kind of fill that gap in, and then have Rocksteady come back out and say, okay, well, we worked in collaboration with Warner Bros. Montreal, and here's what we're going to start to really expand this universe. It's not just Batman. It's a lot of other people, too. And honestly, the rumors of the Bat family, which, it's a rumor, but those pictures, those teasers are the Bat family that are still missing. So introducing them, yeah, that's a co-op mechanic. Yeah, that's a different way of playing the game, and that is a breath of fresh air, I guess, depending, again, on your playstyle. We talked about that. Like, will you play as them too much, too little? But at the same time, from a bigger perspective of expanding the universe, that's what it is, right? We have seen some of these characters, but now let's play them. Let's make them maybe not as important as Batman, but let's make them decently important, because who knows, maybe they pop up in a different game. Like, it may get to that case now where characters are jumping around video games, right? And it's going to be weird. I think at first it's going to be a little bit different because we haven't really experienced that. You only experience that in the movies. But I think if there's anybody I trust, now I don't necessarily trust the release schedule or all these internal delays or all this kind of stuff, but I think the idea of expanding a DC universe on consoles and having this world exist, I think it's a very good idea. If it's executed well, we honestly haven't seen anything like it yet. And I hope, like, even Marvel can kind of copy it or do their own version of it. It's yet to be seen, if they can do a good job with it. But the idea of it, I think, is a really, really solid idea. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Are you excited about this, expanded universe? What characters would you like to see in it? Like, what do you want Rocksteady, now that we kind of know whatever game they're making is going to help, right, expand this universe? So what do you think it is? Do you think it is Justice League? Do you think it is just a base game? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what videos you want me to make next. Obviously, things have I had a couple ideas, but now these rumors or these leaks, like, there's a whole lot more, I think, to talk about. I think I came up with like 2-3 ideas in this video. So let me know what you thought of those ideas I said, and also what you want me to cover next on the channel. I believe on Saturday we're gonna have a video go up. I recorded it and did the whole thing before this news, and I'll make that clear, like, in the comments of that video. I'm still gonna put it up because I still think it has some value to it. Just take it with a grain of salt that I recorded that before these rumors all came out. So that's gonna come out Saturday, and then next week we'll have more videos on talking about what we have learned just now. Also, again, if they do the teaser, right, if they have a new teaser tomorrow, next day, whatever, I will cover it day one, okay? I'll be there like 5-10 minutes later. So be on the lookout. Have that subscribe button hit. Have that bell icon rung so you guys know when these videos go up. Because of all the videos, notifications may also not work all the time, so make sure you're checking the channel daily for Batman Arkham coverage, okay? You guys absolutely rock. I truly, truly appreciate you. We're all in this together. Batman, Batman Arkham 2020. I've seen people say we're in the end game now. All of those quotes are entirely right. I'll see you on the next video.